ever felt like you're stuck on the conveyor belt of life, slowly chugging along, ticking off all that you need to do at certain points? I think the reason why a lot of people feel like this is down to their perception of age. I'm 42 years old, and when I tell people this, I'm often greeted with a degree of surprise. People often think that I am younger than what I actually am. And whilst I take this as a massive compliment, I have to be honest with you, I have never felt my age. I am not defined by my age. In fact, I often have to remind myself that I am indeed over 40. And this is an important point because a lot of people go through life and they allow their age to weigh them down. They carry their age as a weight. And the problem with this is that they often close themselves off to opportunities or to big life changes because they deem themselves too old to actually do it. Now, you might have a dream of moving to Italy or learning a new language or making some other radical change. But if you define yourself by your age, chances are you might write that dream off and consider it to be more for a younger person. But there's a problem with that because I believe that society feeds into our insecurities, and a lot of it stems down to marketing. If you think about it, when men or women reach a certain age, usually 40, or no, I would say even 30 upwards, a lot of marketing when it comes to beauty products, wellness, is centered around anti-aging products. So skincare, it's all about having the anti-aging skincare. You know, if you put the latest LED mask on or you use the latest cream, or it's going to make a huge difference to your skin. If you take X, Y, and Z vitamins, it's going to help you to look younger. Marketing is centered on feeding into people's insecurities that they have about their age, and their age insecurities often stem from different expectations that society places on different age groups. Now, I have to be honest with you, I don't do anything special with my skincare. I use CeraVe as my skincare brand, and this is a brand of skincare that is formulated by dermatologists. So it's a good skincare brand, but it's not like super fancy. And I drink 2 liters of water every single day. Let me tell you, if you want to look younger, drink more water. This is fundamental. Forget the potions and the lotions. If you are not drinking enough water, dehydration ages you. It's simple. And I would also tell you that I don't particularly follow any kind of vitamin plan. I eat a lot of vegetables. Now I live here in Italy. But my life is pretty simple when it comes to these aspects. Now, when I lived in the UK, I did do a little bit more. I used to have regular facials. I used to buy a lot of like the fancier skincare brands like Estee Lauder, for example. So I did do more when I lived in the UK, absolutely. But I haven't really done that since I've lived here in Italy. And it hasn't really changed anything, I have to be honest. I will say to you that when I was a teenager, I had extremely bad acne, and it was something that really impacted my confidence. Literally, my face was just completely full of spots. And I remember when I used to go to the doctors to get the medication to put onto the skin to try to clear it up, they would say to me, "You'll be thankful that you had acne when you're older because your skin will look younger than it actually is," because of course it was so oily when I was younger. And yeah, it's true. So I'm thankful for that acne, even though at the time I absolutely hated it. But it's this. It's not the product that is going to make you younger. It's not the vitamin. It's not the exercise routine. It's your mindset. It's the way that you view your age. I have English lessons with many different students of many different ages. And whenever the topic of like future dreams, goals, aspirations comes up, it's so surprising to hear people say, I would love to do X, but I'm too old. And these are people who are like in their 40s or maybe early 50s. Like, since when did that age become old? It's super funny because the late Louise Hay is somebody who I always reference when people tell me that they are too old to do something. She started one of the world's largest publishing houses, Hay House, when she was in her 60s. That's right, the age when people are starting to think about a pension. She was starting a global publishing company. Did she think she was too old? No. She felt that she had a desire to do something and she did it. And so if somebody of that age can start something like this, what makes you think that at 40 years old, you're too old to move to Italy or you're too old to learn a new language? I say as well that culture plays a huge role into the perception of age, because here in Italy, I do think that somebody of my age is considered to be older, considered to be somebody who should be married, have a family, settled down. It's that kind of period of time. I wouldn't necessarily say that there are as many opportunities for people in this age bracket as there are for younger people. And I say this across the board because there are lots of initiatives and schemes for people usually up to the age of 30. After 30, it's like you're over the hill. The opportunities dry up. Those initiatives and schemes don't exist as much. But why? Is it because after 30 years old, you're deemed not to have dreams anymore, or ambition, or drive, or you're not worthy of being able to achieve something? I've always considered this, and I've always thought that your mindset has to be the strongest thing. If you want to make a big decision like move to Italy, you cannot place your age as the focal point for your decision. I think, and as I've spoken about in this video up here, that you will have different experiences depending on what age you are when you move to Italy, absolutely. But I never think that you are too old to move here. I think you are only too old if you really believe that you are. And this is what I wanted to talk about in this video, because I've just been reflecting on age so much. It was my birthday on Sunday. Thank you for all of the beautiful wishes, by the way. And it just got me thinking how we really do place so much emphasis on age in society, but that it's not age that's the problem. It's your mindset and the way that you perceive things. And I actually think age is an excuse for many people not to follow through on their dreams. I can't do that. I'm too old. I'll never be able to do that because, I don't have the opportunity. I'm too old. Or is it the fact that you're not willing to do that because it means you're going to have to do a bit more work perhaps than a younger person, or it means that you're going to have to put a bit of effort in and commitment, and maybe you don't want to do that. So it's easier to lean back on the excuse of age instead. It's this, isn't it? I truly believe that if you have a big goal of moving to Italy, you need to be real with yourself. If it's something you want to do, you can find a way to make it happen. Yes, of course, there are practical aspects you have to consider. What's your quality of life going to be like? That will vary depending on what age you are. How are you going to make it happen? Visa dependent, or kind of splitting your life between living in your own country and spending time here? You have to look at those practical aspects, absolutely, but I don't think it's something you should necessarily write off because you consider yourself to be too old. Age is just a number. Age doesn't have to define you. And I think we need to stop believing the lies that we have been fed from society that, the older you get, the less possibility there is for you. Yes, of course, there are certain careers that are age dependent, like competitive sports, for example, and some other careers. Yes, I get it. But it doesn't mean that you can't find a way to make your dream a reality. And that's what I really wanted to touch on today, because I do see in my comments sometimes people saying, I've always wanted to move to Italy, but I've left it a bit late now. I probably can't make it happen. But why not? Where there is a will, there is a way. This is the motto that I've applied to my entire life. And I've always been able to find a way whenever I've wanted to do something. Even if it looked a little bit different at the beginning, it has always ended up taking me to where I really wanted to go. And so that's what I want you to remember about age. In my opinion, you're not too old to move to Italy. Yes, you might have to get used to a culture here that views age in a different way to what you might view it as. But it's a feeling more than anything else. It's not something that should define your experience and your ability to make your dream of moving to Italy a reality. If you find yourself falling into this category of defining yourself by your age, I want you to view things from a different perspective. I want you to try and view age as a window of life. So the older you become, the more experiences you gain, the wiser you become. I like to think that you evolve as you get older. This is what I think is the most important thing of all. And it's why sometimes I don't buy into the belief that people can have lifelong friendships, which a lot of people believe here in Italy, because if you are truly evolving and changing, that means that your friendship circles will follow suit, because what you had in common with your high school friends is not necessarily going to be the same as what you have in common as a 30-year-old adult. So I do think that friendships will evolve as a result if you are evolving in your life. So you've got to think of life as being this. Your age is a window. And when you look out of your window, you see the many experiences, the lessons that you have gained. But it's not an invisible chain unless you truly believe it is. Even if society puts limitations in place or companies silently discriminate against those who are older, you have to remember that your experience, your skills, your knowledge can be used in ways that can benefit you if you have a strong enough mindset. And so if you're thinking about moving to Italy, try to view your age as a window. That experience, those lessons that you've learned, if you're older in life, are going to help you tremendously here in Italy. Trust me. Moving here when I was 34 years old meant that I already had life experience behind me, and that helped me so much with this transition. I truly believe when you move here at a younger age, sometimes that can be more difficult because you haven't really found yourself. When I think back to when I was like a teenager, I didn't really know who I was. I wasn't the woman I am today. I didn't have this strength of character necessarily. So it's this, your age should be something to celebrate, to embrace, to look at with all the lessons and growth that has come with it. And so try to view age from this perspective, rather than it being something very heavy and negative that limits you and weighs you down. If you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and watch this video next, because I talk about what it's like to move to Italy in your 30s and 40s, which is the age bracket that I was in when I first moved here. I will see you in the next video.